Hi, welcome to the Stitch TV show. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Pam. We're happy you're joining us today. The Stitch is an online quilting talk show, the perfect soundtrack for your sewing room. Join us as we chat about current topics in the quilting world, techniques to improve your own projects, and fun stories about our quilts. It's
our episodes come out twice a month, complimented by virtual stitches. And you can find more about us at stitchtvshow.com. I don't know. Stitch had me distracted, but go on. Yes. What else are we doing? Go.
Exciting news. Our show today is brought to you by Ink and Arrow Fabrics, a division of QTFabrics, who have provided the super cute thing on the table.
I know.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
I do too.
You guys, look how awesome that is.
Oh, it is so. It's the Diva.
It is the Diva Wallet Clutch, which is not their pattern. It's a different pattern.
In fact, the Diva Wallet Clutch.
Diva Wallet Clutch purse featuring the Paloma fabric line. So the pattern comes from So Many Creations. So shout out
to So Many Creations.
Anyway.
Exactly.
So today, what are we talking about?
Today we're going to be talking about quilting tourism and the perils of left-handed quilting.
Yes.
And we're joined by my quilt, Wish You Were Here, which I did for a quilt challenge that had to do with travel. Mm-hmm. So the challenge was you had to make a quilt from some place you had traveled to. So my husband and I went to Hawaii, so I made a quilt about Hawaii. And I thought it'd be fun to do a vintage postcard. So that's a vintage postcard, and I named it Wish You Were Here because that's what you lie, really, when you send postcards back to family.
Wish you were here.
Wish you were here, because no, you really don't. You don't wish they were there.
My mom's very good about sending postcards. I am not.
I'm like,
I should buy my mom a postcard and hand it to her. Mom, I bought you a postcard. I don't mail it. I never bring stamps with me.
Well, they have them at the hotel. Usually they do. Hotels will have stamps. I'm just saying. Anyway.
The one time I did it, I was in Grand Cayman, and they particularly have a tiny little city there they named Hell, so you can send people postcards from Hell. And the postmark literally says, sent to you from Hell. Because there's like old volcanic eruptions and magma.
Magma. That's a great word to say, magma.
$1 million.
Anyway. We digress into...
It's fun stories about our quilts.
Mike Myers movies.
No.
So that's what that was from.
Oh, I'm aware.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, now they're aware. Austin Powers.
Now we're all aware together.
Anyway, we do weird movie
references.
Quotes.
We do.
Every once in a while.
What's up?
I am good. What's up with you? What have you been doing?
Oh,
You've been busy.
I have been. I've gotten around some places. So I had a work trip that sent me to Vegas, as most of my work trips do.
Most people would like that. She's not a Vegas fan.
I'm not a gambler. Despite what we said in the last episode, I'm not much of a drinker either. So for me, Vegas is just a lot of pumped in oxygen and customer visits. Loud noises.
You know, I've been to Vegas twice. I've been to Vegas twice. And I'm always relieved to get home because the level of noise in Vegas is just like, everywhere you go, there's stuff dinging and
yes. But what I've heard that there are people that go specifically to Vegas to write because of the level of noise that it kind of just hits that ambient sound and they can drown out everything else.
Those are the people who sleep with sound machines. I do not. So they drive me nuts.
Newborn babies in what they call the fourth trimester, so the first 3 months after they're out of the chute, up until they're about 3 months old, you can have all the noise going, and in fact, you probably should. That way they get used to kind of being able to sleep when there's noise. So my son he had colic and reflux, and he had a tough few months at the beginning, and I would turn on the vacuum cleaner or the hair dryer, and then he would quiet down and settle.
Really?
Yes. And they say take babies to movie theaters when they're that young because all that extra noise isn't going to keep them up.
No.
But I would be terrified the child would start crying because then you get the stink eye. As you should. I'm sorry, don't take babies to movie theaters.
Yeah.
I had thought that would be my maternity leave, was like seeing all these movies and carting around my super portable newborn. No, it was not. It was a lot of me just crying at home. I didn't have a good time. Anyway, we digress. The point of me going to Vegas.
That's actually, we were in Vegas earlier. Okay,
We were in
so
Vegas
back to
earlier.
Vegas.
The benefit of Vegas, as most places you travel, at least in the United States, if it's a big city, there's quilt guilds.
There are quilt guilds, and they meet.
And quilters. So I
Yes.
got to hang out
and
with
quilt stores.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to a store, but I did get to hang out with Krista Watson,
Who's a good friend of ours. We
Yes,
love Krista.
Quilts, and she chaperoned me. She drove me around.
She chaperoned me. Because she needed chaperoning. This is what's true.
Yes. So she took me to a meeting of the Vegas Modern Quilt Guild.
Oh, wow. How fun.
And boy, they have got some hustle. Like, I was super impressed with how much that guild does. I was like, oh, our guild's a bunch of slackers. Because they're like, we got this swap, we got this challenge, here's the thing, we're making blocks for this, quilts for this. And I'm just sitting there like, wow, they're doing a lot. Woo!
I can't keep up.
I was like, I'm getting stressed out and sitting here thinking, it's a lot of stuff. But yeah, that was super active guild.
Wow,
and
fun.
meets in a great space. I think it's like a member's husband's office and just a big conference room. And so
Oh,
they've got
wow.
this space. And there's a set of sisters that raffle a quilt off every month because they're raising money for one of their kids' college funds. I mean, just an incredible number of quilts that
Wow,
are
how
produced in
fun.
projects, and great. And it was lovely just to go as a guest and think, I'm not obligated to participate in any of this, which sometimes we don't feel in our own guilds.
Yeah, true. I've got to add value. That's true. Well, so you had a good time. I did see pictures of you. You were like,
Krista took a picture of me, and I'm making this.
yeah, she was on her phone making a face. Not that she doesn't make faces all the time. She does.
This travels with me everywhere I go. There I am.
True, it does. And you make faces.
That is true. So yes, perfect segue to our first topic about quilting tourism. So not just seeking out guilds or shops on places you happen to be going anyway.
But I think that's part of the tourism, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
like,
the
I
easy
think
way.
there are certain shops in the country that people...
There are destination shops.
Destination shops.
Missouri
definitely.
Star.
Missouri
The
Star.
whole city right there.
Yeah, really. That's not just a shop. That's a town.
Yes.
Yes, Carol Doak. Whoa.
No. Carol Doak does paper piecing. Jenny Doan.
Jenny Doan. Sorry, Carol Doak does paper piecing. You're
Jenny
right.
Doan.
Jenny Doan owns the town.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. The other one that is Hancock's in Paducah.
Yes.
It's a destination
Hancock's of Paducah,
shop,
different from Hancock's Fabric.
which is now defunct.
That's right.
They went out.
I thought they only shut down some of the stores, not all of them.
Well, they shut down all the ones in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, but Hancock's of Paducah is a destination store. If you've never been there,
Paducah
it is.
itself.
Yes,
Kind of.
definitely. The one up in the Northeast,
Quilting Treasures?
Quilting Treasures, is a destination shop. A lot of
Keepsake
people go-
Quilting.
Keepsake Quilting.
Quilting
They were-
Treasures is part of our sponsorship.
Boy, we're doing
Thank
good. Did we write down notes?
We
'Cause
are
I'm
good
thinking-
at words.
and people's names. It's
So,
awesome.
yes, Keepsake Quilting is like right on a beach or right near some gorgeous water. I
Yes.
see pictures of the shop. And I'm like, oh.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And
there's a
it's-
couple.
And they do like these big sales, I think, I don't know, twice a year or something that people are like talk about going to.
They used to do that with fabric.com.
They did.
They don't do that anymore.
No,
Once
because they got
acquired
bought by
a big company.
Amazon.
Yeah.
They're owned by Amazon. They used to be here in Atlanta. I
They
used
still
to
are.
go.
They're in Kennesaw.
Yes.
They used to be next to the Dave and Buster's.
They're not anymore.
They're not anymore.
So I do think there are shops that Little Quilts used to be a shop where people wanted to go and visit in Atlanta, but they're now closed
Yeah.
because of
Retirement.
retirement. Exactly. But they used to be a shop that people wanted to go to. And I think there's a whole magazine that comes out once a year or twice a year with the top shops of the states.
Well,
and
I
it'll
think they
list different shops in this.
There's like a top 10 list.
Right.
And there may be a top one for each state.
Well, it's like the top 10 that they found in the country that they thought were cool. And they give the information about the shop owner and pictures of the shop. And then they'll have a pattern that shop created or whatever. So those are all places that I've heard rumors that when people travel, sometimes they make their trip according to where quilting things can happen.
Yes.
So,
I mean, the largest quilt shop in Georgia. I have made plans to swing by that on purpose. It's called
Yes.
the Scarlet Thread. It's in
I
the
have
south
too.
side of Atlanta,
I have too.
off 75.
It's not close.
And it's funny, they have a billboard that just says quilt shop.
And people stop. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
absolutely they do.
Yes. So stores, that's part of quilting tourism, is you stop at stores. Every time, well, I have family that live in Southern Illinois, and when we drive from Atlanta to Southern Illinois, I make sure Hancock's is going to be open when the time we pass through Paducah. And I'm like, maybe I have to go to the bathroom at a certain stop in Paducah. Look, Hancock's is right off the interstate. Know exactly where it is. And they close early on Saturdays, FYI. Just so you know. So when you're planning to drive, and they're closed on Sundays. So you have to stop on the way up. You can't stop on the way back.
Right.
Just so you know. So, yep.
I have a feeling we have a limited set of our audiences on that particular path on the U.S.
Well,
East
it's one of
Coast.
the bigger, it's one of the
Yes, in the
shops that
US.
people go to. So stores, but there's also, for me, quilting tourism would be shows.
Absolutely. Like, we traveled to QuiltCon.
Yeah.
We've traveled to Paducah separately.
Yes, and I'm going to Paducah this year. I'm excited about it. So if you see me, come up and say hi.
Oh, do you have buttons? I have buttons. I have
Yeah,
a few
I need some
buttons I can give
buttons.
you.
I need some. I don't have a ton.
They're in my bag.
Okay. And I'll be at Paducah, so please.
So will our quilt.
Yes, our quilt. Although this comes out after Paducah.
That's true. But
I will have been at Paducah, and it was going to be great.
But if you wanted to travel to Oregon and see the quilt in the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show, you can see it there.
I have friends that are doing that. Yes. And there's other ones, like we miss Chicago International Quilt Show in Chicago. And there's Houston. Those two are on my bucket list of where I want to go. And I want to do the Long Beach one in California.
Great things about the Tokyo Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I see a quilt from a quilter out of Japan, it's just amazing detail, and
their stuff is amazing.
Amazing. Much like Australia Modern Quilt Guild, particularly to the Modern Guild, Australia, the woman that won Best of Show
at QuiltCon.
Yes.
It's from Australia.
It's like, we need to go there.
I think she's actually from Tasmania.
Tasmania or Tanzania? Tasmania.
I thought it was Tasmania.
Yeah, Tanzania
Could be
is in
wrong,
Africa.
Because apparently I've been wrong about a lot of people's names and stuff so far. So, just saying.
So, yes, traveling for shows. And then, one of the things that we've done for our show, or that I did, maybe you didn't know 2 years ago, when people that I knew were coming to Atlanta specifically to visit the East Cobb Quilters Guild show, was like, oh, here's the nearby shops. Do your own little mini shop hop.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because we have, for our particular guild, we have a number of shops in the Atlanta area. More, I think, than other big cities do.
Right.
We're kind of lucky in that way.
Right. Oh, very much so. Yes. So shows. The other one that's on my bucket list is Houston. Well, I think I already said Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to, I've gone to Paducah a couple times. I think I'd like to go up to the Northeast, the Amish country and that area. I know there's some museums up there that have some fantastic collections of antique quilts that I would like to go see. So that would be a part of my
I thought you were going to say MQX.
Oh, and MQX. I do want to go to MQX.
And they've got multiple locations, I think. New England's one of them.
Yes.
I think they just rebranded.
Yes, they did just rebrand. I don't know, though. So, but I've been to more AQS shows.
Yes.
Like, I've been to several AQS shows.
But there is now none that are geographically close to us. There used to be one,
Paducah is the closest.
2 hours ago, Paducah, and then the one that was close to us, also in Tennessee, Knoxville, then Chattanooga, is now
it's like
Florida.
They lived in Tennessee for a while because they were in Nashville when I first started going. Then they moved to Knoxville, and then they moved to Chattanooga, and now their AQS has decided they're doing a second Paducah.
Yeah, a fall Paducah.
A fall Paducah instead of just the spring Paducah. So that's interesting. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, that's U.S. I know there's other...
Right. Oh,
like
yeah.
New Zealand has an awesome expo, because I hear Charlotte...
Let's go there. I would go back to New Zealand in a heartbeat. And I know we've talked about it a lot, but I love New Zealand.
Yeah. So each country seems to have some kind of national event.
Right. So, what other things do you think about with tourism? So, shops.
I think destination quilting. I think booking the tour to,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Bonnie Hunter teaches on those, and there's many other national quilting teachers or international quilting teachers that
Yes.
do cruises or travel or come with me through Italy for 10 days.
Right. Who just did that I was like, oh, I'd love to go.
We've got a number of guild members that do the
Have
cruises.
done those.
And it's a matter of, your days at sea while the ship is going from, one destination to another. That's the day you spend in the sewing room quilting and doing your business. And then when you get to port, then it's an organized tour, maybe visit a local textile market or,
Right.
just go see sites and get inspiration. So I think of those kinds of things.
Those would be fun. I would do those. Yeah, definitely. Maybe we should teach on one. We should probably figure out how we could do that.
That's going to be the only way you get me on a cruise ship again. Someone's paying me.
So stores, retreats, destinations. So do the whole cruise. But I think retreats. Even in the United States, there's different retreat centers like John C. Campbell Folk Center.
Oh, yeah.
It does quilting classes. There's one in Gatlinburg that does classes on different quilt or bringing quilt artists. I know there's some out on the West Coast that are supposed to be fantastic that I see advertisements for in some of the
even
magazines.
like in Minnesota where they've got all these gorgeous lakes.
Oh, right.
There's always like, the retreat center on the lake.
Except in winter.
You don't
not going there in winter.
Although, perfect excuse to stay in and quilt.
Yeah, but it's really
but you gotta get there
cold
first.
up there.
That's why you make quilts, Lynn.
It's real. I did some jobs up in the north in Minnesota, and they thought I talked very funny.
You do.
Just FYI.
Siri doesn't understand you, Lynn. You do talk
Siri
funny.
does not understand me at all. Siri and I don't get along. One, I have this rasp in my voice, and she doesn't get that, so that messes Siri up. And two, I do have a southern drawl, so that messes her up too. So I've got two knocks against me with Siri. But my point was, I did this job up in Minnesota when I worked in the training world full time, and it was so cold. It was so cold up there. I can't imagine. And I was up there in like February, March, where it shouldn't have been as cold. I was freezing. I couldn't do it in the winter. My hands are cold thinking about it now.
I was talking to a woman yesterday who lives in Georgia who was talking about the retreat she goes on in Michigan on the UP, on the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah, the Upper Peninsula.
And I was like,
not the
main mitten.
Not the main mitten. Yeah, I've heard that's gorgeous in June.
Yes.
Not in
yes.
January.
She specifically said it will be the summer. And I said, good.
That would be good. Yes. So, and I go on a retreat every year. Like there's a place where my guild, or not guild.
Your bee.
My quilting bee, who I've been such a awful member of the last 3 months. We go up to a place in North Georgia and the top of this mountain and rent this house and sew for a week. It is heavenly. It is awesome. And what's nice about it too is we, trade nights on who cooks, and it's a good deal. It's a great, I love Quilts Retreat. I've already signed up for the next 2 years, I think.
How would one find such a place though?
Google it.
Yeah, I was going to say Google it. Ask for recommendations if there's a local guild.
Right.
Even if you're not a member of them, frequently.
And I know there are some in Tennessee, and I think there's some in Nashville and the Nashville area. There's some in North Georgia, and I'm sure there's others around the country, but those are the ones I'm aware of.
Well, in particular, I know our Modern Guild has booked, there are retreat centers usually affiliated with churches because they'll do different retreats and they'll rent that out for different purposes. And
we need to find one here. Let's go back to Hawaii.
Well, that's part of the books, the Jennifer Schiaverini novels that they had the retreat up in the northeast of the United States.
I haven't read all of her novels.
And then one of the ladies moved from there to Hawaii and set up her own. So fiction, of course. But I'm sure it exists. I'm sure there's a thing. Well, even at hotel rooms, people have just organized a retreat.
That's true.
And just, be cognizant of the power supply issues. You can't plug in 17 irons at a time because you're going to blow some fuses.
Yes, you can. I'm kidding, you can't. that'd be bad.
It would be bad. But ask local guilds, ask local shops. They may know about different retreat centers.
Right. So that's where I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I like going on retreats. What else do you do? Like when you came up with this topic? Those are my 3: shows, stores, and retreats.
So in the United States, and again, very U.S.-centric, but that's been most of our experience, we have, that runs over the summer, row by row experience.
Oh, I forgot about row by row.
Which
yeah,
different
people are
shops.
totally into row by
So
row.
different quilt shops participate in this, and the entire program was set up to organize a shop hop that would span more than just like one city. So the way it works is that shops sign up to participate, and they design a row, and they offer that pattern for free. You could buy a kit for it, of course, and as extras, they also develop little license plates that have cutesy
That
things.
is big.
Yeah. So all the different shops that participate, there's like a grand prize for the whole thing, and then each shop usually, the first person that makes a quilt using at least, gosh, I think 8 rows maybe of different shops they
Yes.
visit.
I think it's 8.
The first person to show up with a finished quilt from 8 rows usually wins like 20 fat quarters or some
fun
prize,
fabric. Yeah.
And people get a little competitive about it.
Oh, big
It's
time.
I think it's only been around for 4 or 5 years. And I
I
think
would
in the
say
last
3. This may be the 4th year.
This might be the 4th year. But in the last 2, it's gotten crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Where quilters will call the shop, have you had a winner yet? Okay, I'm on my way. And
Yeah.
and then someone shows up 5 minutes later, and then they get super upset because someone else just left with it's a little competitive. I cannot can't sign up for that kind of anxiety. Like, I have enough things that make me anxious in my life. I don't need quilting to do that.
And at one of our guild meetings, this lady had traveled all over. I mean, up to New York to Florida. I mean, she did the entire East Coast, and she had family in New York too, so that was part of it. But she had traveled, and she was like collecting those license plates. It was like.
And she's like selling them in the back.
She's
selling my license plate.
My license plate. It's pretty crazy, yeah. So, but your mom picked us up some license plates from Virginia Beach.
I think it was in a different part of Virginia. So Virginia Beach is on the south side of the James River. And she was up in the peninsula.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if there's a quilt shop in Virginia Beach, but somewhere in Virginia.
Yeah, it was somewhere in Virginia.
Yeah.
She got us one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I've got some. I've actually got a couple of. I don't know what to do with them. Like, I have them now, but I don't know.
I should hang my. I made a mini quilt. I should hang it up in my new office cube.
Yes.
It just says badass quilter. Like, bam.
I think I have that
on
one.
brand.
Maddie friended me the other day.
She friended me too.
I know. I'm excited. Hi, Maddie. Anyway. So, yes, quilting tourism.
Yeah.
I would like to do a cruise. I think that would be fun. And I've heard that there's stuff for your husband to do.
No, I wouldn't take my husband with me.
Like
we have
play golf or
confirmed and reaffirmed
that he's not a cruiser.
Cruise is not his jam. All he wants to do is go see how the engines work. That's not a thing.
No, probably not.
No.
When
he went on his cruise back in the 80s, I think.
That was
he got to do it, but that was it. And then it's too fancy.
I do like those
too
behind
many people.
Too many people.
Yeah. We spent a lot of our cruise like in the cabin reading. Asked my daughter, do you want to go see the water? I can see it through the window. Go out on deck. Anyway. So yeah, the only way I'm doing a cruise is not with my family. And there better be sewing.
And they're sewing involved.
Yes.
All right.
So yeah, destination. I know there's quilting tourism companies that specifically organize some of those destination trips.
Yes. You can go to China and look at how they make silk. Well,
there's a lot of gorgeous ones that happen in Polynesia and the South Pacific.
And where they do the batik dyeings and how they make batiks and stuff. And yes, very cool. I would totally do that.
I would as well.
I want to cruise through Europe.
I want Italy.
I'm not been. I've been to England, and that's my extent of Europe. England. I don't think that counts. But we did discover
Brexit, maybe not.
They just got out.
I've been to Germany, Belgium.
I haven't been.
I was born there. So
I started to say, you were born there.
Not that I remember it. So, yes.
So, anyway.
Alrighty.
So now we're going to take a closer look at Wish You Were Here, and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Our next topic is going to be something I cannot talk very much about because we're talking about the perils of left-handed quilting. And since I'm not left-handed, I'm more ambidextrous, right-handed favor. I do some things with my left hand.
Ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous.
Not dexterous. Or, as my husband says, he's anti-dexterous because he writes like crap with both hands.
I can write with my left hand. And my
So
right
can
hand.
I. Because that's where the action is. Because I'm left-handed.
But Pam's left-handed. So she wanted to talk about the perils of left-handed quilting.
Yes.
And I would agree that there are, I mean, definitely the quilt world as well as the regular world is skewed to right pod, not left pod people.
It should be south pod. Does that make you north pod?
Pretty much,
Weird.
yes.
All right. So
that's what I'm saying. So
this particularly came to light when I write quilt patterns and when I take in-process photos.
Yes,
because as a left-handed person, I hold the rotary cutter in my left hand, and thus the ruler is in my right. And I'm like, lay it out like this, shashing. And then there was one pattern we worked on where I did a sample part and you did a sample part, and we had pictures from both. And then I looked and I'm like, yours are backwards. And then I realized, oh, wait, the 90% of the world that's right-handed that looks at patterns that I write and think, she's jacked up with her cutting because it's backwards. So, and I think we even put a note in there saying this portion of directions is written by a left-handed quilter because it was going to be fairly obvious that some stuff went sideways between the two different ones.
We do have to be, I would say that you would have to be more cognizant of the fact that rulers are made for.
Yes, they are.
And the lines and stuff are made for right-handed.
Now, good teachers, and Bonnie Hunter did this, so shout out to Bonnie. When I took a class from her, and they do all right, who's left-handed at the beginning of class? Left-handed. And so she'll give instructions, and then she'll be like, all right, left-handed people, listen up. Everyone else, take a hike. She was nicer than that.
She didn't say take a hike.
No,
I can't see her saying take a hike.
I think she said go get candy. And so, okay, so here's how you use the ruler in this way. So it's regular rulers. Not, to me, either not that big a deal or I've learned to compensate.
You've probably learned
to compensate.
Knowing you've learned to compensate, yes.
So, just some fun facts. 10% of the population's left-handed.
It's weird. Tons of my friends are left-handed, so I apparently like hanging out with left-handed people.
Yeah.
So my roommate from college is left-handed. You're left-handed. Another good friend of mine who we both know is left-handed. I got a lot of left-handed people in my life.
So
what's that say about me?
Just because I'm four of the last 7 presidents have been left-handed, by the way, which is
crazy.
A bananas ratio. Obama, W.
Really?
Clinton.
I did not know
Gerald
any
Ford.
of this. Did not know this.
I did some research. I showed up with notes.
Which is unusual, because I've got a big old question mark.
Which is usually my notes. Like, oh, yeah, I'm sure
I don't have anything
when we start talking.
So I'll just set them over here.
Okay, engineers
are probably more left-handed.
No, 1/3% of the world is engineers. And I am a left-handed engineer who quilts, which means that there's like 3 of us.
One.
And I think we found each other all on Twitter one day, and then we're like, we're all also introverts, so nice to meet you. Bye. So
I believe that. All right.
Yeah, so usually artistic, left-handed people are typically more affiliated with artistic endeavors, and I don't know why. Like, I can't explain the brain science. I'm not a neurologist.
I thought it had to do with right brain, left brain stuff.
Yeah, but
like your right brain is more artistic, and it's what's controlling the left side of your body,
right.
And your left brain is more logical, and it's what's controlling the right side. I don't know how you
quantify. Again, the engineer in me wants to quantify. How do you measure art?
I know that every time I take those tests online, I am almost equal. Like the creative and logical side of me is very balanced. And I do a lot of things with my left hand. So
I took this test for work when I was a manager, and it broke the brain up into different quadrants. And it was, strategic / planning, logical. I forget what the other one was. And then one was like feelings. Mine was so funny. So you can guess where it ended up. It was like logic, off the charts, planning, hot diggity, feelings. What are those? And then it measured like when you're under stress, what happens? Way more logical, way more planning, 0 feelings. I was like, seems legit. Probably why I shouldn't manage people. Because I'm like, you got a project to get done. You should probably get that done. And stop crying, you big baby.
this is why on our last segment we're like, what would happen if you get rejected from the magazine? I would cry. Pam, no.
No, I totally cried too. But then I'm like, well, it's time to
put
on my big girl panties and go somewhere else.
On.
Anyway, so
adult lady professional, as you would say.
I am a grown-up professional lady, and I do what I want.
Right.
Okay. So some of the perils, left-handed. Now,
okay, tell me what your problems are.
I got a lot of issues with you people.
You people. Okay.
Frank Costanza. So rotary cutters.
Rotary cutters are made for right-handed people.
Okay, except, the generic one that I use, because I do have an ergonomic one that I had to buy specifically for my left hand. But I use a generic one, and you would hold it in this hand, hold it in that hand. It's generic, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So I don't really have a problem in that way.
I agree.
So again, unless it's an ergonomic design, and then they're probably out of stock. Just saying, kind of a thing. The numbers on the mat, they go the wrong way.
Oh, because they're on, yeah.
I want them, they count up from left to right. I want them to count up from right to left because it would be easier for me. Because my ruler's on this side. So I have to
wouldn't have thought of that.
I have to do Ginger Rogers math backwards and in heels. Like I'm starting at 70 inches and going down to 50 instead of going from 0 to 20.
Well, I don't always use the mat.
No, I don't either.
The mat.
But it's helped like when I have a big long piece I need to measure.
Well, I've got so much stuff on this end of my cutting table. I have to start at 20 anyway.
I usually got to start at 10.
Because I don't have room. Anyway, go ahead.
Now, on the plus side.
Most
people don't steal my scissors. Or they try to, and they're like, your scissors are broken.
I've never tried to steal your scissors.
Do you know they did not make left-handed scissors until 1972?
Well, good thing you were around then.
No, I actually wasn't. I was born in 74. So, thank you, Fiskars, for the service that you have done so we were not all injuring ourselves.
That's true. Okay.
But
that would be important.
I cannot find left-handed pinking shears. So I have to use a right-handed pair, and it's murder.
I don't use pinking shears that often, so you're probably okay.
Probably okay, but when I do need to use them, I can only do it.
You know what you
for
could do?
3 minutes at a time.
Hey, I have the solution for it. You know what you could do? Is you could go get the pinking blade on your rotary cutter that's as either side.
That would work great, except
Thank you,
lots
Lynn.
of times
that's a great idea.
I am trying to pink a design on something.
Oh.
And the rotary cutter cuts too far in. Anyway.
Well, then that's lack of control, not the tool. Just saying.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Next up, irons.
What's irons? How are irons right-handed?
I use my iron this way, and then I set it down, and so it's pointing that way, and then here comes some right-handed person put the iron down backwards. Turn. Boop, boop. So what I have started doing to compensate, if this is the ironing surface, a right-handed person would come in and iron this way. I go to this side of the table, which means I have less space, but at least I'm not getting mad that someone put the iron down the wrong way. Kind of like going to a salad bar and picking up the tongs. And I have to be conscious about just setting it down right in the middle instead of at the angle that I would prefer. When other people are someone put the tongs down wrong.
I've never thought of that, ever.
Most right-handed people don't. Got a lot of problems.
I knew when I saw the tweet this morning that she had that this is going to be a fun segment. Okay, I figure I'm in trouble for the rest of the segments.
Here's where left-handed people kind of get a win.
You get a win.
I get a win on the sewing machine. So typical sewing machine. Well, I think every sewing machine except for the ones where you're oriented at the end of it, like my sit down. Thank you,
Yeah.
Handy Quilter, for that awesome design. So when you sit down, all the buttons and stuff are over here.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten to the point where I can push the buttons with my right hand. It's not that, or sometimes I reach over. Where I get a win that you guys don't in the right-handed world is that my dominant arm is used to feed fabric and I'm not having to reach through the harp. Cha-ching.
Oh, I use this hand. But as we've said,
Yeah.
I'm balanced. I use my left hand for a lot of things.
Yeah. By the way, I play golf right-handed.
I ski left hand. I ski left.
That's not a thing.
It is a thing.
That's not a thing.
It is a thing.
Hmm.
I water ski. I slalom.
How do you,
it
what's the
depends on
difference?
what leg you put behind you that gives you that balance. It does. It does. Yes.
First of all, lady golf clubs are hard enough to find, much less left-handed lady golf clubs. So my dad spun it to me as, well, use your dominant arm to really pull through and that'll help your swing. I don't know. I was so busy whiffing on the ball that never mattered. I got a 12.
I didn't do
on a
it.
par
My
four.
dad tried to teach me golf, and I think had he not tried to teach me golf, I would like golf. But because he tried to teach me golf, it did not go well. Because we clashed. Not that anybody else would ever clash with their parents, but it was not pretty.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I lasted very many holes.
Yeah, binding doesn't seem to be terribly impacted other than I go the other way around the quilt. It's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of another. Because you will stitch this way.
I stitch
and
this
I
way.
will stitch this way.
Yeah. I can stitch this way if I wanted to, though, I think.
Doesn't seem to be that big a deal.
Yeah.
I would love it if a judge would look at something and say,
I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people who have a long arm. They always stitch from right to left.
That's
on
left
their,
to right.
Or left to right, like you would read. I don't.
Like
that's
you would
part of
read
my problem.
English.
I don't know my left from right. Like I struggle with that all the time.
Left.
I know.
Right. Just saying.
I'm just saying the part of my problem because this is a dominant, but it's not as strong as I think a lot of right-handed people are.
Yeah.
I sew a lot of times on my long arm from right to left, which most people who are right-handed do not do. They would sew the other way.
Hey,
I
when
sew
you're
backwards.
writing with a pen and you look down at it, is the writing on the pen the right side up if it's got like a logo or a funny saying on it? Not for me, it's all upside down.
I don't know that I cared.
Whatever.
So for you, it's this way. Yeah, I guess it
upside
would
down.
be.
Look at that.
I draw with my left hand sometimes.
You know the worst thing that you ever say to a left-handed quilter?
No, what?
When you write their pattern, you're like, oh, just reverse it. I did it right-handed, but you could just reverse it.
That's not
It's
true.
like upside down and backwards. It's not just reversing it.
I remember my roommate from college. Like she would write with her left hand. She was left-handed, and she wrote. No. She would take the paper and write this way.
Yeah.
Not like we would write this way. She literally would write. And then I've seen a lot of left-handed people do the
left-handed people tend to do that, so you don't get the smudginess on your hands.
And would write like
literally
this.
Come home every day from elementary school and just
I'm going to see
pencil.
her next week. I'm excited. My roommate from college, I'm going to see her.
Okay.
In Paducah.
Yeah, so classes and patterns are frequently just written backwards.
Yes. Well, that's why you're writing a lot of our patterns, so that they are left-handed friendly.
We got a target market of 10% of quilters.
Is it just 10%, really?
10%.
Is it 10% of the overall population?
Of overall population. I don't know specific to quilters. That was not revealed. That's not part of the annual quilting survey that goes out.
That should be. That'd be interesting.
Wouldn't it, though?
Yeah.
Because you think, they're more artistic, or maybe they are, maybe they aren't.
I don't know. I just think that's an interesting statistic.
Yeah. So, and I know from me seeing other people rotary cut.
You think people are going to hurt themselves.
Well, typically, the way you should be taught is always cut away from you.
I've seen
that's
her
safer.
cut to...
I cut sideways.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've
seen her
tried
do
doing
it.
this.
I've seen her do it. It makes me, I have to admit, I'm like,
Well, and sometimes I have to like go.
yeah,
if
I've
trying
seen
to
her
square
cut
up
towards
something-
herself, and I'm like, oh, Pam, don't hurt yourself.
Well, I'd rather go towards me than the cat.
True, I get
I
it.
know I'm not going to spaz out and jump towards it.
Yeah, true. So, okay.
Yeah, a lot of weird compensations we got to do.
I think it's important that we talk about it. I mean, I didn't thought about half these
I
things.
have to think about what seat I take on an airplane if I want to do hand quilting.
When we were flying up to SoPro, she was like, I want to be on this side. I was like, okay, I didn't care though. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. So I would have sat in either seat.
I will say,
I've flown on so many airplanes. I've sat in all the seats.
the benefit
And
to
I
me,
care.
because I will mouse with my right hand on a computer, but I can still write with my left hand. So
That's
I can
good.
multitask.
That is good.
My father-in-law does it. He's not left-handed, but he mouses with his left hand.
And right.
Could be because he's missing a part of a finger. On his other one. Maybe. Or you put the foot pedal on the other side. That's weird.
Yes, I do mess people up with that. I sew barefoot. Like I can't sew with a sewing machine with shoes on. So I always have my shoes off. Now I can do
Like a good
sock,
Southern lady.
like I can do sock feet in the winter, but I sew barefoot, and the pedal is always on the left side, which goes back to I'm very much controlled by both sides of I don't have a strong dominant.
So when you've got blocks laid out and you're sewing blocks together into a top, which side do you start from to start piecing it together?
It doesn't matter.
You've done it both ways.
I've done it both ways. Doesn't matter. Like on this, in fact, on this one that I'm working on that's on my design wall now, I started in the bottom right-hand corner and did a section, and then I went over to the left-hand corner and did some, and then I did some over to meet. But I will say that I am bad about this, and I've always done this in school too. I don't take a test like you start from the beginning. A lot of people, when they when you get handed a test, like you start at the top of the page and you do the test.
I do the first run through, answer everything that I can that I know off the bat, and then I go back through it.
Nope. I don't even do that. I just pick a section I like, and then I'll do those. And I will skip around. I do not take it from top to bottom. So those standardized testings where they had you in a certain I hated those things because I skip around the whole time. I know.
That's not right. There is agreement in the room that
Everybody's
is not right.
like, no, that's not right. So I don't. That's why when you ask me when we write patterns, how do you sew it together? I'm like, most people aren't going to sew together the way I do because I don't sew in a pattern. Like I don't sew things together in an organized. I chunk it. Yes,
which
I
is
do
the
that.
thing. Whereas I tend to do, so I start sewing at the top right.
Yeah.
And I sew, the top two right blocks together, and then the second row, those. And on point quilts, I design a lot of them, but I'm like, oh, it's the worst. On point quilts, because then I can't. I gotta.
I don't mind on point, but I chunk everything together,
great, but
so I don't. No, I mean sewing them together, they don't bother me because it's just a row. It's just a sideways row.
It's a row, but I like to do sew the different rows together as a column, so they're connected by the the little chain.
So do you start if it's on point? Do you start in the top?
No, I tend to
bottom corners and work the way to the middle.
No, what I tend to do is I will sew the top left and the bottom right because those are the same width typically, and then finish those and lay them out, and then do kind of work my way in towards the center that way. So then I do the longest row last.
I don't always do that.
But I don't think that's a left-handed thing. I think that's...
Yeah. Depends on what I'm not as organized like that. I chunk, and just like when I take tests, it's the same thing. My brain just doesn't work in sequence order sometimes.
That's all my brain does. It's like one giant database, filing and sorting and putting things in the right place. I was great at
geometry. I loved geometry. I don't know.
Well, spatial awareness is different
from
the sequence of things.
Yes. But I liked making those proofs. Didn't you write proofs and you had to do that?
And you balanced all the equations. That was
the best.
That was like the only part
I
of
loved
chemistry I liked.
Proofs were awesome.
The commutative property, the transitive property.
We are weird.
I had 104 average in geometry. That was my jam.
I know, it was my jam too. I love geometry. I was really good at that. Because in art, when I went to school, in high school, you got a choice, or you didn't have to take foreign language. It wasn't required then. And so I took more math classes to avoid foreign language because I liked math. So, and when I went to college, I took more math classes so I didn't have to take foreign language. So
I had 5 quarters of calculus, so I'm good.
Just
then differential equations. Again, engineering degree. So
yeah,
that's why
you had a lot more math classes than I had to take. I just did it just to get out of foreign language. There you go. And I've heard now that they're talking about
math is a language.
Math is a language, and coding, like learning computer coding, is different, as being looked at in the academic world as a learning language, which to me makes a lot of sense. I would have taken a foreign language had they taught me how to, code for apps or something. I would have liked that. Write queries. I like write queries. Anyway.
So if you know a left-handed quilter, give them a hug.
Is that it? Is there anything else?
It's small font.
Small font?
Yeah. I know.
I was just making sure we talked about everything.
We did.
So, yes, love all the left-handed quilters that you know.
So if you or someone you love is a left-handed quilter, share your tips for quilting in your right mind. Leave a comment on our blog.
That was totally cheesy.
Of course it was. Or here on the YouTube episode. And that's all we have for today's episode. This show could not be made possible without Ink and Arrow Fabrics, because fabrics should be fun. Learn more about them and their fun fabrics at inkandarrowfabrics.com.
And we'd like to thank 77 Peaches and Big Think Productions for helping produce The Stitch. You can find their links, their sites, that does not make sense, on our show site, thestitchtvshow.com. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, please email us at info@thestitchtvshow.com.
We got like 27 episodes in. It's been the same.
I know,
and
but
you're
it
just
doesn't
now
make sense.
saying. Anyway, so we're going to reword that. Episode 220 coming up. So if you've enjoyed this show, but not that particular part, please like it on YouTube. Share your thoughts on this episode's topics on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and tag us with hashtag #TheStitchTVShow. The next virtual Stitch-In is Friday, June 16th at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern. Broadcast on our channel here on YouTube and on our blog. And my podcast, Hip to Be a Square, is out Fridays at hiptobeasquarepodcast.com or on iTunes or Google Play.
You can email us with questions or comments at info@thestitchtvshow.com or buy our patterns at shop.thestitchtvshow.com.
All those details and more can be found on our website, thestitchtvshow.com. Tune in next time for more quilting chat with friends.